Hello there, fellas and ladies. Welcome back to Goodfellas Garage. It is 5 a.m. here in Fort Lauderdale, and I'm on my way to the airport. I'm flying to Orlando to pick up a car that I just bought last week. But first, let's do a cold start and wake up the neighbors. This car definitely needs a new exhaust. Well, fellas, let me show you what I got here. I just pulled up to a Turnpike rest area and gas station and filled it up real quick. So this is a 2011, last year of production, silver, of course, best color, Crown Victoria. You got some battle scars here and there. Nothing a quick wax job won't fix. It's a really decent car. This is a street appearance package. So it doesn't, this particular car doesn't have any holes drilled in it, so the City of Orlando Police Department didn't have any lights or anything like that in it. So, I mean, they had lights in it, but it was inside, so nothing on the outside. It's a really nice car. It needs some TLC. You know, the seats are a little bit stained. There's only one hole in here. And we'll get into this car in detail, but the back seats, for some reason, they look like there's a lot of stains on them. They look like
bodily fluid and hair samples. We determined that a bunch of old homeless dudes had an orgy in the car.
Oh, God.
Yeah. You know what that's called when they do that in there? It's called a soup kitchen.
It's pretty rough stuff.
it has some paintwork, mostly all original, but there's some paintwork on the front. The hood is repainted, so no big deal. They did a decent job. So let's talk about this car a little bit more. I think it's the best car in the world. Is there anything out there that is better than a Crown Victoria? To me personally, fellas, this is as good as it gets. I absolutely love the Panther Platform cars, and the Panther Platform has been around since 1979 and was discontinued by Ford in 2012, and it continued on with very minor changes. When I was in the car business years ago, my entire specialty, my entire focus of the dealership was Panther Platform cars. All I sold was Lincoln Town cars. That's all I specialized in. And on occasion I would get a Grand Marquis, and I personally had a Crown Victoria. So for the past 20 years, there has always been a Crown Victoria in my stable, and I have probably went through a few thousand of them through my career. And like I said before, I absolutely love these cars. To me personally, there's nothing better than the simplicity of the Crown Victoria. And this car feels like a good friend, that you have since high school, and I can't live without a Crown Victoria. I have been Pantherless for the past year, and I missed this car so much, and I've been looking and looking because it's very hard to find clean Crown Victorias. 2006 was the last year that Ford actually offered the Crown Victoria to the general public. You can still order one. You can still walk into a dealership and order one, and they would sell you the LX model or the base model, but they were not stocking them on dealers' lots. So it is very difficult to find a civilian version, and a civilian version that is in good condition. So the search is really, for the Crown Victoria Police Interceptor. There's a lot of them out there, and they're pretty cheap cars. But the problem with most of them is that they're owned by police departments, and they're beat to hell. There's really nothing left by the time they're done, and 99% of them have holes, they have spotlights, they have antennas, they have this, they have that. So by the time you're getting the car from the police department, it's really squeezed pretty good. So, and I finally found one. I was going through eBay, which is a dangerous thing to do late at night, and I saw the auction for this car. It was auctioned off by the City of Orlando Police Department, and all I had to go by are some pictures. I looked it over real quick. What I saw at the auction, the car was described with one sentence, stains and scratches and things and dents, blah blah blah. That was it, and I bid on it, and I won the car. And what I did is I bought a plane ticket to Orlando, one way, cost $79, and I hopped on a plane, and then I took an Uber to their city facility, and I picked up the car and paid for it, and here I am driving it back home. And as you can see, this car needs some TLC, and over the upcoming few weeks I will do some work to this car. I'll clean it up, I'll clean all the seats, and I'll show you how I do all this stuff, because I have been working on Crown Victorias and Panther Platform cars for years, and I know pretty much everything there is to know about them. So I will make some videos. I'll show you how to service these cars, because it is extremely easy, and they're very DIY friendly. And as you can see, this particular car has a lot of stains in the interior for some reason. I don't know what the hell they were doing with it. So
Believe me, everybody that was in on this orgy was more than willing. In fact, they even left you a note here.
Thanks for the F-Shack.
Love Dirty Mike and the boys.
there are a couple of things that are broken, and some scratches and things that I'll take care of. But I will also do some servicing. I'll change all the fluids, and I'll show you how to do it, because it's very easy. I absolutely love working on these cars. It is absolute pleasure doing so, because they're very well engineered, and they're very easy to work on. The only thing that's difficult to do on this car is the one job that's very difficult. Well, there's two, but one that's very difficult is the heater core, because if you heard the saying, the way Ford builds cars is they put the heater core and then they build the car around it. So you have to remove the dash and do a whole bunch of stuff to get to the heater core. But it's not really a problem in Florida, because we'd never use heat. So a quick history recap on the Panther platform. Like I mentioned before, it was produced from 1979 until 2012, and it underpinned Crown Victoria, Grand Marquis, Mercury Marauder, Lincoln Town Car. Now, the Crown Victoria was not a standalone model in the beginning. It was actually a trim level on a Ford LTD, and then it became LTD Crown Victoria, and in 1992 Ford redesigned the body, and the Crown Victoria became a standalone name. I personally really like the 1992 Crown Victoria styling. It has this futuristic look that was modeled after the Ford Taurus, and it basically lacked the front grille. It actually received a lot of criticism for that, so in 1993 Ford redesigned the front end of the car slightly and introduced a traditional grille. Now, the next major redesign for the Crown Victoria happened in 1998, and it continued from 1998 until the last Crown Victoria rolled off the assembly line, I think in September of 2011. So this body style that you see is the same body style that has been going on since 1998. In 1995, Ford did the interior redesign and introduced this dash that you see in this car. This dash has not changed since 1995. There have been minor changes to the cluster, to the radio, and some minor controls. They upgraded the steering column in 2005, but for the most part, these cars have not been changed. In 2003, there was a major redesign to the frame. It was the frame was now hydroformed, and for the first time ever, the Crown Victoria, the Lincoln Town Car, the Grand Marquis received a rack and pinion steering. The front suspension was redesigned, and it also received new rear shocks, which has improved handling dramatically. But for the most part, this is the beauty of these cars, is that they are stuck in time. It's like going to Cuba and walking down the street and feeling like you're stuck in the 50s. This is what you feel like when you're driving the Crown Vic. This car is old school. It doesn't get any more old school than the Crown Vic. And this is the beauty of the Crown Victoria, is that it hasn't changed. It hasn't changed much throughout the years, and that's the appeal. At least that's the appeal for me, is that they haven't messed with the formula, and it was a cash cow for Ford, and they just kept producing them until, in 2012, they couldn't meet the CAFE emission requirements, so they discontinued the car. Actually, what a lot of people don't know, they think that 2011 was the last year. 2012 was actually the last model year for the Crown Victoria, because they couldn't produce them for the US market for the 2012 model year, but they continued making them for the Middle East. The last Crown Victorias were actually sold in Saudi Arabia because the Panther platform was extremely popular in the Gulf countries, in the Persian Gulf countries, and they love these cars over there. So they kept making it for the 2012 model year for the Saudi Arabia. And the last Crown Victoria rolled off the assembly line, I think September 15th, 2011, and all the people who were working at the St. Thomas assembly plant in Canada actually signed the car. They signed everywhere, on the inside, on the, inside of the hood, in the engine bay, everywhere. So I don't know what happened to that car. I don't know where it actually is. I mean, it was destined for Saudi Arabia, but I don't know if the person, actually preserved it or not. So that remains unknown at this time. I'm gonna continue driving and enjoying this car, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for more videos about this car as I work on it and fix it and bring it back to life. Thanks. Bye.